Howdy folks, Rudrose here, and today we will be going over Darkwing Duck, the deck. That's right, we're looking at a fun theme deck based all around Darkwing Duck characters. Is it any good? Actually, yeah, better than I thought it would be. I kind of thought this would just be a meme or a joke. And to be fair, if you go like super hard in on Darkwing Duck, I do feel there are some lackluster cards in the franchise, but I think I was able to concoct something pretty decent. So, I wanted to make something based around the themes because I just think theme decks are so fun, and I really wish Lorcana would add more. And for Darkwing Duck, and to be fair, this is not a TV show I am super familiar with. I watched it like a few times as a kid, but I don't have a very strong memory of it. There are a couple cards in purple, but these are mostly villains, and they're just kind of generic cards. They don't have any synergy. Same with the green cards. Same with red. The ones that actually have synergy are the Sapphire and the Steel cards, so that's what we're going to focus on. We're going to make the Sapphire and the Steel version. And I tried pretty much every card in here originally, trying to make something that works. And there are some we've definitely cut that we've taken out. The big star of the show, of course, is the new legendary Darkwing Duck. And I was like, there's got to be something here, right? We've got this guy. So you can shift for 5. Whenever an item is banished, you pay 1 to deal 2 damage to chosen character. I completely dismissed that ability. At first, I was like, that's never even going to come up. Like, the reason you play him is evildoers beware. He can challenge ready villain characters. Well, turns out, take that. Actually does work pretty well if you go in on his item package. So this card, if it can stick around, if it's not just banished with a Let It Go or a Hades, is actually quite the beast. And I was pretty impressed with him. So Darkwing Duck in general has this item theme. Now you can see there's this blue Sapphire one that's all about items. I believe Goslin is also about items. Yeah, it is. And when I tried them, they just felt slow. Both this has to be quest. This one is on play, but it just didn't really feel like it was worth building around, especially since he's uninkable. And some of the items are, frankly, quite bad. Some of them are nice, but some of them are quite bad. So out of all the items, I think I originally had all of them in here. So we've currently got the 2 Sapphire. Right. I don't have blue smoke anymore. I tried it. So if you have a character named Darkwing in play, it's completely free, which that's nice. But then you exert it, pay 1, and you give something ward, which is like, okay, you know, the idea that you protect this big Darkwing, what did I just say? Oh, Let It Go in Hades. So you can protect him for that, but it's just the fact that it's uninkable. Like, why is this uninkable? I don't understand. Again, I like the theme. I like that you vanish in a puff of smoke, and so they can't hit you. As usual, the theme is on brand, but like, it being uninkable just felt really bad with the other uninkable slots. So I ultimately cut that one. Darkwing's gas device. I'll be 100%. I think this is just a terrible version of Sapphire Coil. So chosen character gets -1 this turn. You have to exert it and pay an ink, and it's 3 up front. Versus if you have Darkwing Duck in play, it becomes -2. Legitimately, like, even though it's in the deck for the theme, a one-of copy, but it's just a worse version of Sapphire Coil. I don't know why this card is so bad, especially since it wants to be around Darkwing Duck. Again, it should have been way cheaper. This probably should have just cost 1. Yeah. So if you're trying to make this like super serious competitive, you need to run Sapphire Coil over that, but keeping for the Darkwing Duck theme, we're doing the gas device. The chair is actually decent. So because it's uninkable, which that sucks, but when you play it, it puts top card of your deck in your inkwell face down exerted, right? It's essentially a Mickey Detective. It's just a Mickey Detective on an item. Now, in some regard, that kind of sucks because you lose the body that Mickey provides, but its second effect, Sudden Spin, where you can banish it for free, it doesn't have a cost, and you can heal anything by 2, or if you heal Darkwing Duck specifically, you can heal him by 4. And that came into play a lot more than I thought it would, especially when you're challenging with this Cool Under Pressure Darkwing Duck Legendary. He challenges into a villain, takes a bunch of damage back, you heal him, and then his item ability triggers and suddenly you ping something for 2. Like, that came up so many more times than I was anticipating. And then we have the Thunderquack. This turns every single card your opponent has into a villain, all opposing characters, and then it fits in the theme as you banish them. As long as they're banished in a challenge, you just gain a lore. And that includes your own characters too. So in theory, you could like run something into a card, even if it gets banished and the opposing character doesn't, you get to gain a lore. So I do quite like the Thunderquack. Again, it's a little slow. It's probably a little overcosted, but it fits the theme, and the extra lore bonus is nice. And then the Ultra Scan specs. This is essentially just like the Mulan effect on a body. You draw discard, but particularly at will, you give something alert. And we don't have a natural way to really challenge evasives in this deck. So I found this very useful. Originally, this was like 1 copy, but I bumped it up to 3 because you really do need a way to hit evasives. And because it can banish at will, it then triggers Darkwing's extra item effect. So These are the items I would recommend. I do think they're quite fun, and I think they actually work quite well. We're going to look at all the versions of Darkwing. Of course, we have our main legendary one. We also have this Duck Warrior version. Whenever an item is banished, he gains resist +1 till the start of your next turn. That doesn't really come up, I find. You're mainly using him as either a 2-lore quester or just a challenger 2, so he hits for 6. That's quite nice. The item thing on occasion comes up. It's okay. This Darkwing, it's just we need a small Darkwing we can shift on, so he's here. And in particular, we need him for Launchpad. So I'll go into our draw engine, because that was the thing the deck I was really struggling with, was how do we draw cards? So Goliath is a huge help to that. The deck really came together once I added Goliath. So Goliath is a way to help us draw cards. We also have the new Pete. This card is a little slow, and I do think it is slightly overrated. Like, don't get me wrong, it's good if it sticks around, but a lot of times it just gets answered the moment it comes down. So you essentially paid 5 or potentially 6 for absolutely nothing. But if Pete can stick around, it is a good way to get card draw. You only really need to boost him once for that. But Launchpad, I was kind of surprised how much I liked Launchpad. He's uninkable, which sucks, and I don't really think he needs to be. But he normally has the draw discard, which the filtering is just like, okay. But if you have a Darkwing Duck in play, you just draw. You don't have to discard it as long as any Darkwing is in play. So there are times I'll have Launchpad out, and then I'll just drop Darkwing, even just the little 1 cost, and suddenly I just exert him to draw a card. So Launchpad has been quite nice. Some of the other Darkwing characters, Honker Muddlefoot, all characters named Darkwing get resist +1. He's actually quite good with this 1-drop version. So like sometimes you can do this Darkwing on 1, you ramp with Sail on turn 2, and then with your extra 1, you put out Muddlefoot, and suddenly he can, challenge you to a hook really well, not take any damage back. So I've liked him pretty well. Moana, this is a non-Darkwing card, but it's just one of the new cards. It feels pretty solid. It really does save you card advantage. That it works so well with Sail too, because you can immediately ink the Sail you've used. So in testing, I've liked her quite a bit. Like, it is wrong to say she is card draw, but she does prevent you from spending cards from your hand to ink. So she's felt solid, and just quest for 2 as well. So I really liked her quite a bit. Goliath obviously helps a lot of card draw. Hades, we're just going to need some spot removal. Speaking of spot removal, we also have Let It Go, Strength of a Raging Fire, and the Terror That Flaps in the Night. This is basically Baboom, but you get a bonus as long as you control any Darkwing Duck character, and then it hits for 3. 2 is fine. Again, it's just Baboom, but hitting for 3 does feel really nice. So this card feels solid enough. And then finally, last but certainly not least, well, maybe it is certainly least, Darkwing Tower. I'll be honest, you could probably cut this location. It has 8 willpower, so it is difficult for them to deal with it, and at least it has a lore. As far as its effect goes, like, it just never works the way you want it to, because ideally what you would want to do is, like, quest with your big Darkwing Duck, and then somehow have him banish a villain so that he can then ready and then, like, attack again. But if you do that, you don't get his... Like, if you just challenge with him right away to banish a villain, he doesn't get his initial quest. So, like, it's okay, but if you wanted to make this super duper competitive, you would probably cut it and maybe put in more spot removal. So it's fun. I very much enjoyed the theme. Let me show you some matches with it. Actually, real quick, let me go over some of the other cards. I did try this Darkwing Duck originally, but the 1 health is just terrible. Even with Ward, the fact that he can't challenge in anything and live just feels awful. Goslin, I don't think we play enough items to really justify her. Splatter has no synergy with it. She's just a Darkwing character, and we're not trying to, like, go aggro, so she's not very good. And then this Launchpad, this location is not worth protecting, so yeah, wouldn't run those. And Let's Get Dangerous is just way too dangerous and too if you want to live on the edge, sure, you can try it, and maybe you'll hit your Darkwing for free and they hit some crappy 1 cost, but I'm not taking that risk. On to the matches. As always with these matches, I give the caveat that the computer on Inktable does not always make the correct decisions, so, take everything you see with a grain of salt. That the computer does not always play in optimal lines, but as always, it will also still give you a idea of how the deck works. So you still want to ramp. It is a Sapphire deck. You'd absolutely want to ramp on 2. Ultra Specs for little filtering. I don't want more uninkables with Launchpad. Here I can ramp again with the, Darkwing's Cheer Set. So we're all the way up to 6. We're ready to get a Pete down next turn. We can also do Moana, ink our Sail from hand. I decided to go in on her because now, if like this Muddlefoot gets banished, as our opponent is going wide, we get our Pete. We go ahead and boost him. Hopefully he sticks around and we can start. He's pretty decent against steel just because he has such a high body. I go ahead and attack with the Moana. I sadly don't have anything else to ink with her, but at least she's going to take out 2 characters. That feels pretty good. The Muddlefoot goes away as well. It's probably correct to, hopefully I quest first with Pete, see what you get off of him, Get Goliath. That's decent. Let it go. We get rid of the genie. Put out another Muddlefoot. And Goliath is solid, but remember, Goliath works for your opponents as well. So you just want to kind of keep what they've got. So we bring out Big Darkwing. We find a Strength of a Raging Fire. It is nice that Pete just grabs anything. He's not limited to like characters or anything in that nature. So our opponent is able to banish the Pete. I go ahead and go in on the Goliath. I can sing. I can also challenge. So Pete is actually a villain. I get the heal and I get the 2 ping. Boom. Shoot it. That's just one of those instances. Oh, that does more than I thought it would. And I am set up with the Ultra Scan specs too, with the evasive, that now I can attack something else. So we'll go in Moana, start getting some free ink from the Inkwell. Strength, we banish, we give him alert. Boom, knock that out. Boom, knocked out. See, and that's an instance where that 2 comes in handy way more than I originally thought it would. There are some instances that little 2 ping from the items are quite nice. Goliath is keeping our hand nice and healthy right now. Sail is so great with Moana. We can just immediately ink it after we've cast it. And we do get our extra ink from that. We're going to have Goliath go ahead and whittle down this field. And with an extra Goliath in turn in hand, I'm okay if that one gets banished. Let it go is right on time. I can go ahead and stop this Yzma from getting card draw. Although my Goliath, again, kind of makes that work anyway. Oh, right. She's a villain, so I don't even need to use that. Darkwing Duck can just go in and challenge her. There goes Hades, and we've pretty much taken control of this one at this point. But you see, there's a lot of cards that I didn't even have the Thunderquack out, but there are quite a few cards. Hades is a villain. Yzma is a villain. Pete is a villain. There's just cards that randomly, as I would look at them and be like, oh, I can challenge that. That's a villain. How about that? Yeah, it's nice. So always look for your ramp. I don't mind keeping the chair set early too. Like I really don't mind doing sail into Tipo or sail/Tipo into the chair set. It's a little slow. So again, if you're going against an aggro list, that might be a hair slow. I'm probably going to do that play I talked about earlier. Yep, I get Muddlefoot with Darkwing Duck. He gets resist. Won't matter against the Calhoun specifically, but it's nice to have nonetheless. I can go in on the chair and ramp. I could go in on Launchpad to try to set up the card draw. And we're going to see, oh, there's Strength of a Raging Fire. Resist and protect us from that. Oh, this board's looking pretty scary. So I put out double Launchpad. Only problem is I have no Darkwing. If I'm really lucky to top deck a Darkwing, I can draw twice off of this. But this board's also starting to get out of control. So this is tough. You give up Goliath. It's my only source of card draw. And I say, no, I need the draw. Like as much as I want Hades to get rid of something. And unfortunately, I have to run both Launchpads into the Calhoun. I just can't let my opponent get that lore back. Luckily, Lexington is frozen from the Stone by Day. And again, for some reason, the computer attacks with Elsa there. There's no reason to do that. That's one of those instances. So we go in on Hades, immediately spot remove something. I go ahead and heal up Goliath by 2. It lets him take out his fellow Gargoyle Lexington. I've got double Pete. Oof, good bell shift. Knocks out my Goliath. Here we can start ramping our ink. As Hades can start dealing with the board a little bit. Bell trades into him very, very well. Here I've got Goliath. We're going to boost a Pete, see what we can do there. I could trade out the Bell for the Moana, but I just decided not to. I'm trying to hold on to it, which of course didn't matter because I hit with Strength anyway. This one is very much getting away from us, unfortunately. So now I can't even use the Pete boost like to quest and get the card because I have to run into this card. Opponent picks off our Pete, and this is getting very, very dicey. So Terror the Flaps in the Night is worth 2 right now, which I'll at least use it to pick that card off. Pete's going in, and I've just got to find an answer to this Dumbo. For some reason, okay, so here's a perfect example. There is no world where challenging with Dumbo there makes any sense, but that's the computer for you. All they had to do was use the Dumbo ability, and they absolutely get away with this. But a computer wants to give us a chance to get back into it. Who am I to say no? So we hold on to the Let It Go for a bit of spot removal. So we get Genie and Calhoun. Calhoun you always have to be careful with. You don't want to expose a card. Unfortunately, that card now is exposed, but I felt like I had to get the Genie off. So Calhoun does get 2 lore out of that. Have to answer pretty much everything here. Get rid of the Dumbo. The single Lexington is okay. Sail again. Ink from the Inkwell. And then I sailed again. Oh, the Moana lets you ramp so much. It's so nice. And now just go fast and try to get there before they do. And I think I've got enough and... Let's see. Gets rid of Tipo. I think I have enough on board, right? 2, 4. Yeah. Oh, no, not anymore. I did. So ink again from the Inkwell. They're not at lore, but you have to, if they have a Cobra at this point, there's just not much you can do. So I do Darkwing Tower just because I have the extra ink. There's kind of no reason not to. I hit with that, plus I get the lure from the Thunderquack, and now as long as they don't have Cobra, yeah, I'll be able to take this one out. So got very dicey there. We very much fell behind, and you can see that's a strong meta deck, and even with the computer playing it not in the greatest way, you can see how much trouble it can give you. All right, what do we have? We got our 1-cost Sail and Tipo, so we're not lagging for ramp. We have a Darkwing into a launch pad, too. That's quite nice. Computer exposes the hook, which you shouldn't do, as it gives Darkwing just a free person to pick on. And even though I could have sailed there, I was really greedy. I was like, I want the launch pad set up. So I go in for the launch pad. Launch pad just becomes pure card draw at this point. Have Darkwing keep picking them off. Here I can even ramp with the Tipo, which I decide to give up the other launch pad. So I'm still all the way up to 5 ink. Cobra, unfortunately, punishes launch pad very well, but we have Darkwing to counter the Cobra and Tipo to pick off the Diablo. And now we've got a boosted Pete. And for a steel deck on turn 4, not much we're going to be able to do about that Pete. So Moana will get some extra ink from our Inkwell. Quest with Pete first, get a launch pad. Now I have this 1-drop Darkwing. So again, next turn, even though they just took Pete out, I can just drop. Well, I was going to be able to. No, he hit the Moana instead. So drop the bigger Darkwing, and launch pad just becomes card draw. And I quite like launch pad in this situation. Obviously, he's very easy to get rid of. Like he's so easy to just deal with something. But here, at least this Darkwing is going to trade with both, so I don't mind exposing that, even if it means getting not the Yzma, the Calhoun off the field. Nothing I can do about this Yzma, so computer's just, or is going to challenge for some reason. Again, computer, come on. You got to at least try a little bit. Like, what was that? There is no world we're not challenging. We're not using the Yzma trigger. That's correct. Whatever. Pete, we've got, you can see it really is the boost on Pete. Like, even just boosting 2 cards, giving you a choice that every time he quests, he becomes Develop Your Brain. It is really strong. It's just a matter of whether he sticks around or not. He is better against the steel decks, too, because it's a little more difficult for them to deal with that 5 willpower. Thunderbolt goes ahead and finishes all Moana, but with nothing on the board, that gives us free time to quest, and we're loading up on everything possible. There's Jafar. Not going to matter. Hades can just knock him out anyway. We have exactly enough to win the game on board. I go ahead and shift into the Darkwing. I just go ahead and send him in that way. We get the double from the Thunderquack. And hooray! Knocked him out. I have to praise their theme again because they really get the theme of these cards. You know, I do feel like a superhero with all his gadgets. You know, thinking of all those items I had out there last time. And, oh, I've got my gadgets and I'm, throwing the gadgets out, and it feels good. Generally, it's a cool idea, but once again, they just make them so weak. Like, why is this gas gun so bad? I don't understand it. Why is it just so much worse than Sapphire Coil when it's tied to Darkwing Duck to even match Sapphire Coil? And then it'd be one thing if, like, let's say you just had to exert it, but no, you have to pay ink to exert it. Keep in mind, Ice Block still exists. Ice Block, which, yeah, it's uninkable, but it costs 1 and you just freely exert that. Like, they are so overly cautious with all of these theme decks. There's no reason to make them this bad. I'm pretty sure Demona's a villain, so Darkwing can go ahead and bob her on the noggin. Oh, and this is going to work so well with Horseman. Check this out. So granted, she's not down, so it's not like I need to challenge a ready character anyway, but what I can do is send Darkwing. Oh yeah, he can just challenge the Horseman because he's a villain. Now, if I want, I can pop the chair set. I go ahead and use the Hades, but I could have popped the chair set, healed Darkwing, and then just slap something for 2. Library is nothing before the might. Elsa is a villain, of course, because I have the Thunderquack. Everyone's a villain now. And we go ahead and put 4 in the library. Genie's a villain. Negaduck is, of course, a villain. Use Strength or Raging Fire to get rid of him. I heal, pop for 2, get rid of Negaduck, boom, finish off the library, and then I can just quest. So as I was testing the deck and playing it, the item banish pop for 2 is way more effective than I originally thought it was. There's that dastardly Negaduck villain. No, not today, sir. As our Darkwing just go right in, bam, pop him on the nose. And I've got the chair ready to heal and hit anything. Oh, just like this. Yep, we'll just heal for 4 and boop, pop. Everyone gets all the resist boost. Not that it matters, because I could have just quested out in one anyway. But darn, if it, again, that's satisfying. It fills that theme. I'm a superhero, and I'm using my gadgets and my toys to beat up these villains. Theme's great. Just please make the cards better. Taking on old Blurple. Oh no, this is red purple. Never mind. This is Diablo. There's some big bodies in this one. That makes sense, because that's what we just took on. I don't know if you need to necessarily worry about the shift line on the big Darkwing. Like, I don't think it's that important, especially since you can ramp. I feel like it's just more worth it to just play it outright. But obviously, if you see an opportunity that makes sense to shift on him, go for it. Have to give up 2 Pete's there. That doesn't feel amazing. Muddlefoot at least trades out the Diablo. Terror Flaps in the night. Gets us another one. Have to give up the Thunderquack, because I need to start getting cards with the Pete. Which, granted, with 2 Cheshires there, doesn't feel amazing, but at least the Pete, like, the Cheshire can't really work with the Pete because the Pete hits so hard, so anything that runs into him is just going to get bopped. Yeah, there's no damage to manipulate there. Has to give up 2 to knock the Pete out. There's the library. Hades can go ahead and knock out the Cheshire, and I have to start running cards into the library. I don't like giving up the launch pad, but again, he's not as good anyway when you don't have Darkwing. Like, the difference between the keeping the draw and then having to discard is huge. But we finally get to Goliath, so I'll get to draw 2 cards in the end of the turn here. Moana will go. Negaduck does have that lore steal, but our opponents are... they're now benefiting from the Goliath. That doesn't feel amazing. But I'm getting ahead on lore now. Oh, they actually have Big Elsa. Nice. They go ahead and take out the Goliath. There's our Darkwing engine with our launch pad. Go ahead and move them all into the tower, because why not? Grab your bow, goes ahead and knocks out 2 of those. Pretty decent, but at least I still got the bodies on the board. Yeah, Cheshire Cat Library. They were trying to put a beating on, but we really had the tools to just deal with them. That was nice. I go ahead and just hit the library. Like, I could have just quested, but just wanted to show dominance, I guess, and get another Darkwing Tower on the field. There we go. It always makes me happy when a theme deck performs way better than I'm expecting. I usually go into these thinking, it's going to be some half-hearted attempt at a theme. And to be fair, I don't think this one's that different. I do think this one is right on the cusp. With additions of good cards like Goliath, Hades, etc., I do wonder if there's something here. Now, is this the best version of Sapphire Steel? Probably not, but man, maybe if Blurple wasn't around so much. If this Darkwing could stick around, I actually do think you could do something with this. So from a super competitive standpoint, it's still probably not quite there, but if you have a more casual locals and you want a fun theme deck to take, I think you will be really pleased with this, and it functions so much better than I originally thought it would. I thought this thing would just completely crash and burn, but I had a lot of fun with it, which is great, especially when I don't know the TV show that well. So I'll have the deck list in the description below. Feel free to check it out. Like and subscribe if you haven't already. I appreciate you so much for watching, and until next time, take care.